Hello everyone, welcome to the next session on the topic organization of data under the subheading collection of data, and it is presented by Shantala Kulkarni, Department of Statistics, Gokte PU College of Commerce and Science. Before I begin what we are going to do in today's class, let me just brief what we did in the previous class. In the previous class, we just started with the organization of data. What is a statistical survey? What are the steps involved in a statistical survey? The main two stages in a statistical survey, that is planning and preparation and execution of the survey. Under planning and preparation, you have to remember certain points, and under execution of the survey also you have to remember the certain points. In today's class, we will see what are the types of data. What are the important types of data that will help us collect the information and analyze everything. In a statistical survey, the data is of two types. First one is the primary data and the second one is the secondary data. Primary, as itself the name suggests, that it is the first data. In today's class, we will see what is the definition of primary data, then the different methods from where we can obtain the primary data, the merits and demerits of the same methods. In today's class, we'll be seeing the main things about primary data. So what is primary data? Data which are collected for the first time directly from the field by the investigator is called primary data. They are original in nature. The data is also called the first-hand data. The data are the raw materials of the inquiry. For example, if an individual or an office collects the data to study a particular problem directly from the field, it will be primary data. So primary data is nothing but the data which is collected for the first time and which is collected directly from the field by the investigator, and this particular data we call it as primary data. Now let us see which are the important methods in the collection of the primary data. For the collection of primary data, the investigator may choose any of the following methods depending upon the object of an inquiry. See, there are different methods in collecting the primary data. You have 5 methods mentioned for your PUC first class. We will see the first one. The first method is direct personal observation. The second one is the indirect oral interview. Third is information through agencies. Fourth is mailed questionnaires, and fifth is schedule sent through enumerator. We will see each one of these in detail. We will also see the merits and demerits of each of these methods. The first one is direct personal observation. Now see, the word itself says direct personal observation means you will be going directly to the field or directly to the informant and getting information from the person. We will see what it is. Here, the investigator extracts the required information by personal observation of the unit. Unit means the people or the people who are giving information about themselves. The investigator must be a keen observer. He cross-examines the informant and records the necessary information. In this method, the enumerator may collect biased information. However, the method is less costly when the field of inquiry is small. Now see, the meaning of biased here is being favorable, so biased means giving favor to the person. It cannot be the exact information. Now, the method is adopted in the following cases. When can you do direct personal observation? When the data is too small. When the data is too large, it becomes very difficult to go personally and get the information. So the method is adopted in the following cases. When are those cases? Where greater accuracy is needed. When you want to have more accurate results, more accurate values, that time you have to do this direct observation method. Second, where the field of inquiry is not large. That means the people should be small, the inquiry should be less in number. Then the third, where confidential data are to be collected, where you want to get very confidential, where important information is you want to collect, that time you'll be using the direct personal observation, where sufficient time is available. So when do you conduct a direct personal observation? When all these 4 things are needed from the survey. We will just see what are the merits and demerits. The merits and demerits. First, The merit, true and reliable data can be collected. Second, in this method, degree of accuracy can be high. Third, uniformity and homogeneity can be maintained. Uniformity and homogeneity means everything can be maintained in a uniform manner, and the homogeneity means whatever information you want in but that particular thing, it can be maintained. Let us see what are the demerits. The first one, where the area is large, this method is not suitable. True. This method is expensive and time consuming. And the third one, an untrained investigator will not bring good results. So these are the merits and demerits. Let us come to the second method, indirect oral interview. What is this method? If the informant is not ready to give information, the method of indirect oral interview can be followed. Under this method, the investigator approaches the witnesses or third parties who are in touch with the informant. Persons who are supposed to have knowledge about the problem under investigation are interrogated and the desired information is collected. This method is more suitable where the area to be studied is small. It is used when direct information cannot be obtained. Now, what is this indirect oral interview? When you cannot go directly to the person, you are going in an indirect way. The investigator approaches to some other witnesses or the third parties. For example, you are not going to the main person, you are going to the person who has witnessed or who has got information. So that is indirect oral interview. Let us check the merits and demerits. The first merit of this method is simple and convenient. This method is free from bias and prejudice of the respondent. Then what is the meaning of bias, prejudice of the respondent means, a person who has witnessed something, he will give you the correct information. He is not going to hide anything because he has got no personal interest. So whatever he has seen or whatever he knows, he will openly tell the statistician about the information. What are the demerits? Interview with an improper man will spoil the result. Yes, if the person is not true, it can spoil the result. Second, witness may supply biased information according to their interest. That is also true. It can happen both ways. Suppose if the person is not in favoring of that particular person, he can give wrong information. So these are the merits and demerits. Now the third method is information through agencies. Now let us see what are these agencies. Under this method, local agents or correspondents will be appointed. Now in this 3C, information through agencies means you will be having local agents or correspondents who will do the job for you. They collect the information and transmit it to the investigator. They may apply any method according to the intensity of the situation. Agents who collect information from the informants are generally called correspondents. So who are correspondents? They are the agents who collect the information from the informants. This method is generally adopted in those cases where the information is to be obtained at regular intervals from a wide area. Newspapers are the examples of collection of information through agency. So see, information through agencies means you are collecting information from the newspaper. Let us check the merits and demerits. The first merit, this method is very cheap and economical. Second, it is useful where the information is needed regularly. Let us check the demerits. The first one, the information may be biased. Biased means partiality, doing partiality. The second is, it is difficult to maintain the degree of accuracy and uniformity. So these are the merits and demerits of the information through agency method. The fourth one is mailed questionnaire. The fourth type of obtaining primary data is mailed questionnaire. So let us see what is a questionnaire first. Questionnaire is a list of questions where the answers are filled by the informants, and these answers are the required information for the investigation. So what is a questionnaire? Question is a list of questions where you will be typing and seeing those questions, the information will be answered. Let me give you the best example. See, the application form which you give it to the college is nothing but a list of questionnaire, and you are giving that information which is exclusively required for the college itself. Whatever information as a student and as an institute is required, such type of a questionnaire is prepared in your application form. So they ask all the questions: your name, your address, your age, your father's name, your mother's name, your percentage, your subject, what you want to choose. So all this information which is regard to the college, only that questions are asked to you all and you are filling. So what is a questionnaire? It is a list of questions where the answers are filled by the informants, and these answers are the required information for the investigation. The questionnaire, here particular what happens, the questionnaire is sent to the respondents who are expected to write the answers in the space provided in the questionnaire. The questionnaire will be sent to the informants through mail. If mail, they may send it through mail. A covering letter is also sent along with the questionnaire, requesting the informants to extend their full cooperation by giving the correct information and return the duly filled questionnaire in a fixed time. This method is appropriate in cases where informants are spread over a wide area and are literates. Yes, this is useful where people are busy in their schedules, who are educated and who don't have time to come personally and give the information. To such area of people, a questionnaire is typed and it is mailed to them, and all the information whatever regarding to any type of survey, it is gathered. Let us check the merits and demerits of questionnaire. The first one, this method is most economical. It saves manpower. It can be widely used where the area of investigation is large. So that you have 3 merits for that. Let us check the demerits. This method cannot be used if the informants are illiterates. True, if a person doesn't know how to read and write, there is no point in sending a questionnaire to him. Second demerit, in this method, many informants will not respond. See, most of the time what happens, if people are busy in their routine schedule, in their job work, in their office work, they do not have the time to sit and answer the questionnaire. So this is also a drawback. Then the third demerit is, in the case of non-response, follow-up work is essential. When they are not responding, you have to do a follow-up. You have to call them, you have to ask them, have you done it? Or this is the meaning of follow-up, is to call them and to see have they done the job or no, have they given the information, have they filled the questionnaire or no. So this was the fourth method. Now the last method under collection of primary data, the last method is schedule sent through enumerators. Schedule. Now let us see, before I explain what it is, I want first to read the definition of schedule. Schedule is a list of questions where the facts will be supplied by the informants and recorded by the enumerator. Yes, schedule is a list of questions where the facts will be supplied by the informants and recorded by the enumerator. Now let us see. It is a widely used method of collection of primary data. A number of enumerators are selected and trained for this purpose. Here the trained investigator collects data through enumerators. The enumerators contact the informants and collect the information, which is called schedule method. To give you the best example is the census method of the population of our country, what we do. This is a schedule. If you remember, children, people, when we are doing the census after every 10 years, so many enumerators are trained. They may be the school teachers, they may be the primary teachers, they may be the government officials, government staff and all those people, they will be trained, and they will be having a page, or that is actually a schedule. If you remember, all the information will be which they want to collect with regard to the population. They will come to each and every house and collect the information. How many family members are there, how many of you are educated, whether you are a graduate, you are a postgraduate, how many children are there in the house, how many senior citizens are there. Every detailed information will be asked, and if you remember, they will be asking the question and you will be giving the answer to the asked questions, and they will be having a page or a sheet of information, and that is nothing but it's called schedule. So schedule is a list of questions where the facts will be supplied by the informants and recorded by the enumerator. Let us see the merits and demerits of this method. Merits. This method is very useful where the informants are illiterates. Yes, even if the person doesn't know to read and write, the the enumerator will make him understand and the answer will be extracted from this. Second, in this method the rate of non-response is less. Yes, when you are asking questions and somebody will be answering it, no, then it becomes more easy. Let us check the demerits. In this method, the training of enumerators is essential. Yes, the enumerators, see the people who come during the census survey, they are already trained, they have been given training how to ask, what to get information, how to fill those columns and all that. Second, this method is time consuming. Yes, it is time consuming. If you all know that when we have to do census enumeration after every 10 years, the process actually starts 1 year earlier. Prior to that, people will start coming and collecting information. It's a huge lengthy process. Third, personal bias of the enumerators may lead to failure of the inquiry. Again, personal bias means favoring, being judgmental. So these are the merits and demerits. So in today's class, we saw which are the two types of data. The first one is the primary data and the second is the secondary data. And under primary data, you saw which are the different methods we will be using to collect the information. And also you saw the merits and demerits. So in this class, we have finished the detailed survey of primary data, its methods, its different merits and demerits. Thank you.